Could you elaborate? Because I've heard it on your stream too, when we were doing the draft about like tanking. You're not really a fan of tanking. Could you elaborate more on that? Because I feel like you've been more vocal on that lately.
Yeah, so my idea, I mean, it really in sports, but basketball as well. Baseball. I was about to say baseball. Tanking is essentially the idea of losing on purpose, so you get not even just more picks, but higher picks in the draft. My problem with tanking is one, coherently in basketball, it's a lottery. So you're gonna play those odds to get a potential top 5-4 pick when you might just get 6 just because, and they're consistently working towards, hey, bro, like the commissioner of the league is literally like, yeah, I don't like tanking. So why are you then 10 toes on that? That's one I feel like too many people play 2K. 2, I think it is a crazy investment to look at some of these high school players and collegiate players and say, yeah, this guy in about 3 years will 100% be the best player in the world. Because that is such a crazy expectation on somebody. Yes, we can have hype for guys like Victor Wembanyama. Yes, we can have guys for like Zion Williamson and all of that shit. But if Vic doesn't become the best player of all time or the best player in the world, that does not make him a disappointment. Hey, that is what tanking essentially mandates. You have to. They're lucky Joel Embiid is this damn good. Can you imagine if Joel Embiid was like Sengun, Sabonis, even potentially Bam, all of that shit packed up. These niggas are trash. They're locked into a situation they can't fucking win. They're lucky as hell that this nigga is genuinely somewhat rivaling Giannis and rivaling Jokic. Otherwise, fuck no. So I think it's too many risks into tanking. That just doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense, but there's other ways to do it. Do it the way Oklahoma City's doing it. Consistently acquire picks. Do it the way I want to say Golden State did it. When, hey, for 1 year, we're going to back the fuck up. We're going to hop back in that bitch and we're going to get it done. You could do it the way the Spurs did it. Hey, we falling the fuck off. Let me go ahead and get this one guy, pair him up with the other guy. We're going to try again next year. You could do it a way. I don't have a team in mind right now.
What's the difference? What's the difference? And some of these are outlier examples. Like OKC just finessed their way into like a multitude of draft picks. And mind you, it took the Clippers being dumb to give up all those assets and desperate 100%. For that to work. So I don't.
The Rockets. Don't forget the Rockets.
Yeah, and the Rockets to be dumb as well and do that same thing too. Mind you, what this was, you talking about the Chris Paul trade, right, Damo?
Yep.
Wasn't Chris Paul dying at the time? Chris Paul didn't Chris Paul come to them hurt? Am I tripping?
I want to say no. I want to say
if I'm not mistaken, Chris Paul came to them in a certain. It was either him being hurt or the light that he was looked at was not the most favorable. He went there, repaired his career, and this is from his words, from like him being on what's JJ Redick's podcast or whatever the case may be. Yeah, the nigga played 58 games, 2 seasons back to back. There was conversations about him. One of them seasons he averaged 15-6. Went to OKC.
You're talking about the OKC. I thought you said
him going to OKC. I'm thinking about like, all right, he got
you talking about Phoenix
Rockets from. Yeah.
So,
I was like, when is he not hurt?
And then he flips it around and they go to Phoenix. And I could be wrong about that. Oh, we talking about the Rush trade too. We can talk about the Rush trade. I mean,
well, no, that's how the Thunder had got the Rockets pick.
Yeah, the other picks and shit like that.
And, Rush, yeah.
What's it called? But even in that situation, I think that OKC had a plethora of assets due to them being not an expansion team, but a team that switched over or whatever, and they had shit to get off. I don't think that's easily replicatable. And then you're even acknowledging with the Warriors and with San Antonio, they might have not did traditional tanking. They were losing though.
I don't believe in I think if you lose, you lose. There's nothing you can do about being a bad team if you fucking suck. Like ultimately that's just how shit is. But what I do say is take a team like Boston, they did it the right way as well. They just didn't execute optimally. I think even Bezos would agree there. When they had them Nets picks on Nets picks and they kept deciding, you know what? Marcus Smart's untouchable. You know what? I don't fucking know. Kawhi Leonard's on the block. I don't want to give Jaylen Brown. Like, I think they could have instantly turned what they had into championships because they kept getting asset after asset after asset. I think that one of the better ways to build a team, and maybe OKC is an outlier for some of you, but I think it's easy to make these kind of trades if you're going about it in this situation. Sign role players for the future on contracts that you will find favorable in the future. While you're still shit, go ahead and draft. And once you see what that player you just drafted truly does for your team, you'll go about it then. If you don't think Buddy is going to be Timothy the third, hey, what's a role player that everybody fucking love? Trevor Ariza in your prime. Pack up. Like, no cap, Trevor in your prime, pack up. We're going to get a couple of picks from this team. And no, it's not going to be number 1 and number 4, because that's what endless motherfuckers think you have to do to draft. That's never been how the draft works. You can draft good talent at 20. You can draft good talent at 14. I don't know why people act like 14 ain't a good pick. And you consistently get young talent. You consistently try to win games. And when the team starts to move forward, then okay, bet. Now the locker room doesn't hate every fucking body. Now there's not a losing culture in the locker room. And now people actually want to sign with your franchise. But when you tank, it's like, damn, everybody in that arena sucks. Everybody in that arena is shit. I mean, the coach, the owner, the players, everybody shit.
So let me just, because I feel like even from what you said, because you weren't mad at Golden State like tanking for a year. You weren't mad at what the Spurs did. So you're just not for prolonged periods of tanking. I think you're fine with like a 1-year tank, right?
I can accept a 1-year tank, because sometimes you do have to make that adjustment. Injuries happen, disappointments can happen unironically. But like, for example, I think when the Warriors drafted Harrison Barnes, wasn't Curry injured that season or something like that? And they were like, all right, you know what? We don't even know much about this Clay guy or some shit. I'll do my homework. But I want to say, I think the season that they got Harrison Barnes, there were some injuries they were going through. And they were just like, okay, bet. We're just going to chalk it up. We're not going to do shit. And we really have potential in this Stephen Curry guy. So fuck it. Take the season off. We ball up next year. We're going to get a lottery pick. He's going to be a hell of a player for us. Initially, we're not trying to get an all-star in the draft. We're trying to get a guy that can play with Curry. I think that's what happened, but I may have forget. It's been like 10 years.
I think that's that same season they punted on Monte Ellis. The only problem where I have what you just said is, I mean, you just described the Hawks. Like, what the whole conversation that you were just having about, draft this way and sign these guys and this, that, and the third. You just did the Hawks, and I know what the cap of that is. Well, honestly, we reached the outlier of the cap from 08 till today.
I disagree, because in 2015, I would have, once 2015 was a disappointment, I would have looked everybody in the eye. Who's defeated mentally? You get out. We're gonna keep trying to get, because I think that 2015 Hawks team, everybody was all-star, but everybody was like 27-30. I would have just been like, nah. I think Al actually was the young one there, but I think at that point, they should have tried to work towards a different core. I think they were so locked into a core that was never truly going to win.
They literally did that.
Yeah. Wait, what?
No, they got off of them niggas. What are you talking about?
Ultimately, and we could really talk about it, because this seems what your issue with my logic is, but this would only add more towards tanking rather than against it. Some of these franchises can't fucking draft. I mean, that's an obvious factor. You take a team like the Kings. The Kings should have been great years ago. Like, they had the rookie of the year, and they had DeMarcus Cousins. It's literally in 2K era, so everybody can familiarize themselves with the roster. And these niggas, you would think be on timing, but they've missed maybe a decade straight of picks. You have to draft correctly at the end of the day. I can't be held accountable because the team can't draft.
I'm not saying I don't think the Kings were tanking, though. I think literally they just couldn't draft.
Yeah, they couldn't draft.
They just ended up being shitty, but I don't know. I'm not against tanking.
And then also, I mean, you're saying they got a draft as if sometimes, like, there's players in there. I mean, you just get a shitty draft sometimes. So, again, I'm seeing what you're saying. They won 2015. The Hawks looked at the roster in the eye and was like, yeah, this ain't it. So then the next year, we're just going to start getting off of these guys. And that's what they did from then on. They just started, hey, I see a good trade here. I could name like 70 of these situations.
Yeah, and I can name 70 situations where a team tanks on some mid. It's like, obviously there's no, what's the skin of cat phrase? There's no perfect way to rebuild a team ultimately. At the end of the day, the shit is a lottery. You have to pick the right guy from high school and college. But I think the idea of throwing seasons intentionally stunts the idea that you can see what you already have. You don't know if your coach is good. You don't know if the players are good because you're so fixated on a motherfucking 19-year-old that will be drafted in 2028 or some shit that you're not even trying to see what you have right now. I think that logic is crazy.
Yeah, I don't know. I think tanking is something where, in theory, it should work. It's just a lot of the people who are actually implementing it just don't know how to manage those assets that they get. So, like the Sixers, like they got the picks, they just didn't know who to pick. They had L scouts, they had L team development and player development people.
But that's not
L
even
coaches
true,
as well,
though.
but-
That's not even true,
You
dog.
don't think the Sixers
For the
had L
Sixers?
scouts?
Who are so? I want y'all to.
There's
look
also
at these-
injury as well. It wasn't just it
But
wasn't
not
just on
even
them.
that. I want y'all to look at these Sixers drafts in which they're tanking or whatever, and then tell me who they're supposed to draft. Your hindsight might tell you to reach back to 13, but as far as I understand, because I remember looking at it, Jahlil Okafor was a fine pick. Nerlens Noel was a fine pick. These guys.
Well,
that they
actually, I
picked were fine
disagree with
picks.
that even because they took like 4 centers. So I actually disagree with that. They took like 4, 5, 6 straight centers type shit.
Which year was the process
Or
year?
bigs, I should say, because one of them was Dario for sure.
Tell me who they were supposed to pick.
Okay, so in 2000, let's say when the process began, like 2012 to now, or 2013 to now. So you start off with Mo Harkless in the 2012 draft. I don't think I need to explain to you that there's people later in the 2012 draft.
2013.
Yeah,
I better say I don't think it's
All
started.
right, fine. All right, so in
2012.
2013 we'll say is the origins of the process. At pick 11, you take Michael Carter Williams. You then take in the second round Glenn Rice and Pierre Jackson. It's consistent with me because I think you can 100% get greater players later in the draft. But in terms of the lottery, obviously you missed on Giannis Antetokounmpo. You also missed on a guy like Steven Adams. You lacked the urgency to trade up for a guy like CJ McCollum. You also missed out on a guy like Rudy Gobert. In the second round, you definitely not missing out on too much, I want to say.
Hey, I don't. This is not. Yeah, that's what I'm looking at him too. I don't want you to tell me. Rudy Gobert was 27, and this is what I'm saying. I don't necessarily want you to tell me who they missed out on, because I understand there are people in the draft that end up being better. I'm talking about from a logical standpoint. Giannis was a reach at the time. It didn't make sense for a lot of people to pass over some of these guarantees at 11 to get this guy who went 15. And then you're saying Rudy Gobert. Rudy Gobert went 27. What were they supposed to do? Tell me what they were supposed to do.
I'm confused. So what is the other? So what's the other logic then to essentially take the guy that's going to make the most media news at 1 or 2? And what's the counter? I'm asking.
I'm telling you what the counter is. I'm telling you
what's the counter? What's the counter?
Because
this doesn't necessarily make sense.
What I'm saying is, if you're sitting here and we're looking at this, what is this? This 2013 NBA draft.
Okay.
They have the 11th pick, right?
Yeah.
If you compare what we know from the 2013 draft, what was talked about as a mid-draft, the best player being Anthony Bennett, et cetera, reaching for a Giannis
in a mid-draft would be logical, actually, to me.
Damo, do you remember the
I remember the 20
reports and conversations about Giannis?
I remember. I disagree with y'all. I remember and I disagree with y'all.
Well, all I'm saying is, at this point in time in the 2013 draft, I promise you, they made the right pick. And that guy that we're talking about ended up being the rookie of the year and had a good rookie year. So Michael Carter Williams wasn't, cool, but Giannis wasn't supposed to be Giannis. It wasn't like an obvious thing. That's why. And Rudy Gobert, that definitely wasn't an obvious thing. We're talking. I don't know about if they missed out in that draft, but I will say, I'm like 50-50 on this. All these years weren't misses. If you look at 2015, I'm looking at it right now. In 2015, they took Jahlil Okafor. You can't make a reasonable argument for why they would have took somebody else for other than the sake of strictly fit, but that gap being tremendously wide. Like, there's no reason I say I'm a pass on Jahlil Okafor to take Mario Hezonja. You look at Porzingis was a out of nowhere. I remember that year. out of nowhere prospect in that summer. No one knew much about him. He was the unicorn. He was the guy that had a lot of expectations. And when he got drafted, who the fuck is Porzingis, Dingus, Tingus? Like that was the type.
That's fine. But what I'm trying to say is, and every time I'm trying to say it, somebody else says something else. I'm trying to say that one, you could make these exact same claims, but imagine if you're a team that tanked and you picked the Anthony Bennett at 1. Now, rather than in hindsight, you could have took Giannis at 1, right? But you decided, rather than even trying to get a guy and develop said player, and we could even use Michael Carter Williams in a second, but you decided, okay, I'm going to take Anthony Bennett. That pick has to bang in terms of tanking. When you're committed to losing that badly, the pick has to bang. There's no, well, in hindsight, there's no there's no room for it in hindsight. There's no room for other players on there's no room for other players that could have been better. There's no room for that because you threw an entire season. Well, most of the time tanking means seasons away. You threw them away. So they have to convert at that point. That's why I'm saying when you take a guy like Michael Carter Williams at 11, why tanking was bad? Because you basically was like, all right, in 2011, no cap MCW, just go out there and troll. We're not going to try to make you better. We're not going to try to work on your game for real. We're just going to 100% troll out there because we want to make sure in 2012 we have a good pick. We want to make sure in 2013 we have a good pick. We want to make sure in 2014 we have a good pick. They weren't developing the player. There's a universe where Michael Carter Williams I'm not going to say motherfucking Magic Johnson or no shit, but he might actually be a really serviceable player, but we will never know that because they threw away the season. Yes, I understand I cannot stress enough. I understand there are hindsight picks. Obviously, Giannis is a project. Obviously, Jahlil Okafor had hype behind him, but you're not trying to develop what you are drafting. I think Evan Turner himself, he's a basketball player. I know that's the holy grail. He literally goes into it about, I get drafted, and these niggas is in the back room talking about they going to draft another nigga at my position 3 years from now. So what the fuck that do for me? These are human beings. This is not 2K, bro. This ain't 2K.
Evan Turner did say that on a podcast.
He did. He said that on JJ Redick's podcast. Can you give an example of people doing multi-year tanking in the same exact type of way besides Philadelphia?
Besides Philadelphia, well, Philadelphia coherently preached trust the process. If I have to name another team that's kind of tanking right now, I don't know what the hell Charlotte doing. I'd say.
You don't think the Lakers did it? They're in like the Ball, Randall, Ingram era.
I think the Lakers. Yes, just actually, because they were the Lakers were stalling until we signed LeBron James. So if that, I guess that counts, right? I guess that would count because I feel like the Lakers were stalling for free agency.
I mean, personally,
as the closest
I don't
team
think
to
that
this
was,
example.
I don't think that was tanking. I think you were just using the best assets that you had, which every year all they did was whatever high pick, and they tried to develop them. They put them on the court, allowed them to play every year. Every year, whatever pick it was, and if whether a guy make a break, whether a guy fucked it up for himself, we can go down the list. Randall was given an opportunity. D'Lo was given an opportunity. Ingram was given an opportunity. Lonzo was given an opportunity. Kuzma was given an opportunity. Jordan Clarkson, which was the second round pick, was given an opportunity. So I don't know if it was just straight up Lakers tanking. They just dealt the hand.
Yeah, I think it was tank.
And the reason why I'm saying this is because, and I think we can agree in hindsight, especially. The players from that time period talk about it now. They're retired, some forced out of the league or whatever the case may be. Is what happened in Philadelphia is an extremely unique scenario.
100%.
Where I'm talking about year in and year out.
Yeah,
but
injuries.
The thing that I don't like in this conversation is that you're inherently putting those things with tanking. The Spurs tanked for Tim Duncan. Like there's times where teams have tanked for specific players and it has worked astronomically, or they've only tanked for 1 year. The idea that it's this multi-layer, okay, we're going to tank for you and then put you on the back burner year in and year out is not something that's inherent to tanking.
That's very true, very fair. If that's what the conversation was, I think you are mature enough to have that mentality. I think Bezos and Damo, when they hear tanking, have that as well. But I guarantee you, when is tanking overrated brought up on TikTok, brought up to Twitch chat, they are thinking years of being bad. I can almost promise you.
Okay, so that's why I wanted to clarify.
That's
why I wanted to clarify the question, though, is that, okay, you're cool with a tank for a Victor if he's available. You're cool with the Spurs being bad for a season, but you don't like the concept of, for the next 3 to 4 years, we will just shit these seasons to get the highest draft pick for the next 3 to 4 years, regardless of the player that we get.
Yes.
That's what. Okay.
Yes, I'm 100% against that. Yes.
Yeah, that's a different conversation. I want to pull this up. I want to pull this up
Type shit.
because niggas, and not saying this about usage, but niggas do have this revisionist. They should have reached back and pulled Giannis.
Oh yeah, now I'm with you because hindsight is crazy. Hindsight is crazy sometimes.
No sound.
An 18-year-old
Yeah, 196. You can put Paul right there at 196 pounds.
What we have, Reese, is the youngest player in the draft and the most mysterious. This young man did not leave the country of Greece until 3 weeks ago when he played in a tournament in Italy. And he was fortunate because at that tournament, all 30 NBA teams could see him and not worry about the YouTube videos. He's got a Kevin Durant body. He handles the ball like a point forward. He's got a great feel for the game, and he's a great kid with a high motor. But this is a pick that is certainly going to be a future pick. Think of this young man, Milwaukee Buck fans, as a McDonald's All-American that needs a development program. We're looking down the road, but a great talent with a great feel for the game. Can you put him in an NBA game right now? You probably cannot. But in the long-term picture, this kid has as much upside as most anybody in this draft. Handles the ball well and will.
And they go on. Well, the next set of announcers actually don't know anything about him except for Bill Simmons. I think Bill Simmons.
You don't think? Oh, my bad. I was just about to say, you don't think specifically with that description that the Sixers should have even reached for him? That was more of a reason.
Nigga, Josh Smith.
I think they should.
Josh Smith was talked about as LeBron James. No, dog. No, it doesn't work like that. It just doesn't. No.
You can find a couple
MCW
about every pick like that. Like that.
Michael Carter Williams is Magic Johnson.
I was gonna say what the reason why I was talking the way I was talking in the argument is because I'm not a liar and I won't lie just to win a debate. Michael Carter Williams, to Omar's point in that debate, did have his level of hype towards him. So I wasn't angry at that pick. And hell, he went on to be rookie of the year. But when you tank it away,
No, but what I'm clarifying is though, I'm not worried about the KD comparisons. I'm talking about the part of the video where they said, yo, this is a dude that you can't put in the NBA game right now. Is gonna take them a couple years for him to come to his own. So if you're the 76ers and you're already throwing away the next 2 to 3 years, wouldn't that be more of an incentive to wait on the dude that's going to develop in 3 to 4 years because you don't really care about how he's playing in his first 2 years?
Oh, I'm with that.
Project. Everyone's not safe with a project pick. And if every team just start drafting these project guys, then we will start complaining in a year or two. No, every team isn't looking at a guy and hears, oh yeah, he's 2 years away from being 2 years away and get excited. That's how you end up with Bruno Caboclo. Niggas were not excited about Bruno Caboclo, but he was 2 years away from being 2 years away.
I think the 76ers actually did listen to you, B-Souls. They just really felt Michael Carter Williams is the guy because the next draft literally is Joel Embiid. the next pick, literally, they take the guy who I think it was he can't play 2 seasons. We could fact check it, but yeah, I think the rumor was
he came over. He came to America and played though. There's a difference even in that one. He still played a little bit at Kansas before he
100%.
sat down. So again, I think those examples are just I don't even listen to them only because Giannis was playing me and them in Greece. Legitimately. That was a what year was that? 13? That was an iPhone 5. You feel me? Recording the gym footage with terrible lighting. That shit look awful. Niggas make fun of overtime elite now. That shit was bad. I'm supposed to draft that?
Yeah, Giannis ain't the same player. And granted, Scout did hit a lot on the money, but he ain't even the same player that was projected. A point forward. this nigga Giannis is practicing his post game.
He played a season at point guard.
Yeah, he did. He ain't playing like that now. He ain't playing like that now. Hell no.
I want to even see what the mock drafts have Giannis even in the conversations, because I'm telling you, this is a guy that just came out of fucking nowhere. These mock
Same
drafts
way-
have this shit.
It's one
Chat,
of those
look at
damn
us,
near every
man.
year.
We on the NBA page type shit.
Oh shit. Okay.
Oh,
shit.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my bad. I'll tell you what. They did have him at 16. B Souls is gonna be throwing up in a second. They had
Wait, what?
him at 16 to the Boston Celtics. They had
Oh my
Giannis
Oh,
added
man.
to Kumbo. 6'9".
No, that's a crazy spelling.
That's a
Oh my
crazy
God.
spelling.
Antetokounmpo.
Nah, bro.
And the nigga averaged 9.5 points, 5 rebounds, 1.4. Why would you draft that?
Because you're throwing away the next 4
Trust the
seasons.
process.
Man,
Hey, all I'm saying is they would if they was really about a process for real, they would have drafted like the Bucks. Give me the tallest ball handlers in the league and let's see who's good. Shit, they weren't about their process for real.
And MCW was 12, 5, 7, 3 steals.
For AD and got MKG.
I'd have
let me-
missed on Thon Maker if I was the Sixers.
During years of bad drafts.
Let me play some of these TTS.
The only 2 All-Stars the Hornets drafted in the last 13 years was Kemba and LaMelo.
Oh, I think he. Let me
Come on,
get it
Charlotte.
because he TTS'd twice. Hold on.
Taller Scottie Pippen.
All right.
The Charlotte Bobcats were taking and never got the top pick. They tanked for AD and got MKG. They were also a product of tanking during years of bad drafts. The only 2 All-Stars the Hornets drafted in the last 13 years was Kemba and LaMelo.
Yeah, there's luck involved too with tanking working. I feel like if you tank but the drafts are ass, then
Yep.
again, like we're talking about, you can only do so much. But I feel like in theory, I think tanking does work, but there's other factors you need to take into account as well.
Plus, I don't think niggas
Other
think
factors you just can't control, like injuries. So
the first pick isn't. And we can move on after this. First pick isn't like the end all be all in the draft. It's just the opportunity at a high pick, and I think niggas forget that. And then also, I think it is like niggas throw the word tanking out there so much. If you're bad, you're bad. Like you could just be
stank
just that
is a
bad.
thing. Thinking about the Lakers shit, yeah, we stank. Because even with Kobe on the team, we were trying. We were not good. We were not good at all.
I'm looking at these Hornets teams. Niggas talking about they tanking. Don't know what
Oh
they
no, Charlotte
wanted.
was just awful. I seen
Yeah.
Charlotte play basketball. They just suck.
Don't
do
know
y'all
what
think the
they wanted.
Rockets are tanking, or is it just a case of a bad team being a bad team?
They were tanking.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's.
They got John Wall on purpose. It was like, yeah, nigga, we don't need you.
Sit
we're trying
down.
Sage, are you a
We're
fan of what
trying
the
to
Rockets are doing?
And they made you think he was bad for real. No, he's playing just a little bit too good.
The
Just a little
Rockets.
too close.
Because I'm kind of warming up to what the Rockets are doing. I ain't gonna lie.
Oh, they look good now.
The Rocket. See,
Yeah.
sometimes you have to deal the card that you've had. I'm not gonna say, hey, bro, I hate tanking so much. Force yourself to be mid and then start like that. It took them more time. They literally out of nowhere. Yeah, James Harden doesn't like us. Oh, shit. And then Chris Paul quits. It's like, oh well, fuck. They had a bad draw, and I think it took them like what 6 years, 5 years, 6 years. But yeah. Yeah,
because I don't know about. I think it's just 3 because they went Jalen Green and then Jabari, and then this year they went with one of the Thompson twins. So and then they
also
started
got
to add
Sengun
vets.
that time. They got
Yeah,
Tariq.
fucker
Sengun.
Sengun is the pick.
Yeah.
They also
But-
drafted really good, in my personal opinion.
So I think
Sniping
again,
came with
I think
more.
the Rockets are an example of like, okay, tanking works when the drafts are actually good, you know.
Yeah.
So and when you know how to draft as well, which the Rockets I
Whitmore
think
as well.
showed that they did. Cam Whitmore as well.
Tari Eason. Forgot
And now
about
they're in the
Tari.
process of adding those vets that'll add like culture to the team, a winning mentality as well. So yeah, I don't know. I like what the Rockets are doing, and the money
Yeah,
has to go somewhere anyway. So might as well
Yeah,
take the
I was the first one with you to talk about Fred and Dylan not being shit signings. I thought you could have did a little better, but I didn't think they were bad. Teach them niggas how to play defense. Whoever ain't coming around to it, get the hell out.